soon. I'm probably gonna get him a 20 gallon. Oops. And I mean, he's my first snake, and he's probably my favorite snake. Still don't even really know what kind of corn snake he is. Bought him from BHB as a black Motley, but I mean, come on, really? There's no way he's a black Motley. Like, he to me, that's a normal pattern, and if you can see, he has yellow on him, so I don't really think he's a black Motley. Um, but yeah, the corn snakes, for a first snake, they're probably the best one, I think, other than ball pythons. But I mean, if you're kind of unsure about snakes, like I was, like before I got him, I was pretty scared of snakes, but I thought they were cool. And so I just decided I'd get a corn snake just to kind of see if I liked snakes. Um, and I did. But yeah, so if you're, if you're not sure how it's going to be handling snakes or whatever, definitely corn snake is probably the best beginner snake. And I mean, I've been bitten by an adult and I didn't even feel it. To be honest, if I didn't see it, I probably wouldn't have known it happened. And that was around feeding time, so that wasn't like it being aggressive. It had just ate, and so I thought it might be getting, because it's at the pet shop that I work at, and normally we give them two mice, but they were all looking pretty fat, so we thought we'd just give him one. And so I went to go put him back, and thought he was getting his second mouse, so he bit me. But yeah, I mean, they're awesome pets. I mean, some snakes, I wouldn't really consider to be pets, like, necessarily, in my collection, because they're just really mean, and they're more for the, just for the sake of having it, just to be like, oh, I have, this many ball pythons, and, I mean, it's not, I don't know really how to explain why I have some of the ones that I have. Some of them are just for breeding, just because I want to get experience breeding. And some of them I don't even know why I still have them, because they're not really for breeding and they're kind of mean sometimes. But yeah, back to the topic. Honestly, I think as long as I keep snakes, I will always have corn snakes. He's my only one. I actually want to get more. What I'm saving up money right now, and I might either buy. Oh, some people yelling outside. I might either try to buy a dwarf reticulated python, um, which is definitely not a beginner snake, or I might buy a small rack, and buy a couple of corn snakes, because they're awesome pets. Like, I want to own things that I'm going to actually enjoy as a pet. Um, and I think I would enjoy a retic as a pet, but it's not a beginner snake. It requires a lot of time, because you got to make sure you hook train it, and you have to have enough money to keep a snake like that, for, paying for all the food, and paying for its enclosures, because they grow very fast. Even the dwarfs, the super dwarfs, are a little bit cheaper, because, well, not to buy, but to maintain, because their enclosures aren't going to be so big. But you got to think about the bloodline it comes from, because certain areas, localities, are going to get a lot bigger and stuff. So I mean, I don't know if I would rather get a couple of corn snakes or a dwarf reticulated python, but I think I might just get a couple of corn snakes, because these guys are just awesome. And then I'll get the ball python out in just a second to show you, but I like this guy a lot. Yeah, they're super cheap too. So, I mean, if you want one, total cost, like, if you just get one of the cheaper ones, which there's no shortage of those, They're probably 20-30 bucks for the snake. If you have to buy it from, online, which I recommend just getting it from an expo because it'll be even cheaper there. If you get it online, shipping will probably be about 50 bucks. And then, enclosure shouldn't be more than 50 or 60 for everything. So in total, you probably spend 150 if you get it off the internet, 100 if you don't. So yeah, they're pretty cheap and they're awesome pets, man. I would definitely recommend them to anybody, even advanced keepers, because they're just amazing pets. Okay, so now we have the ball python. She's a little hungry. So I have to be a little more careful with her because she has bit me. She's not too aggressive. She's not like aggressive. As you can see, I can pick her up, hold her, and everything. But yeah, she calms down once you get her out. But she's bit me before, so it wouldn't surprise me. But it didn't hurt. Okay, so people who think like you're gonna need stitches or something from someone. A snake this small, it was a tiny little bite, left little tiny holes, barely felt it. But these are definitely still beginner snakes. The only difference I would really say, or the only thing that makes them a slightly more advanced snake, is they're a little more intimidating. They're not really intimidating at all once you get used to them. But for someone who's never had snakes or never really held a snake, it is something more intimidating because, as you can see, she's a lot bigger. Maybe not lengthwise. Length, she might be close to him. Yeah, she's probably actually around the same length. But as you can see, she's a lot thicker. And her head is a lot bigger. If you do a size comparison, I have really big hands, so she's actually a 300-gram snake. So whereas the corn snake's probably 70 grams. And ball pythons, they are definitely good snakes. They can be extremely calm snakes. They're a lot slower than corn snakes, but they're just bigger. That's the only thing. They don't get as long. Usually, they tend to stay around 4 foot max, sometimes 5, just depending on feeding, and females will get a little bigger. But the only difference I would really say is that just to a new person, or someone who's new to snakes, they're a little more intimidating because of the size. But I definitely think that if you're willing to spend a little more money and you want a really nice looking snake, ball pythons are the way to go. I mean, I got her at an expo for 125, and I mean, the lighting's not the best, but she's a really, really nice pastel. I almost think she's a super pastel because look at the blushing, she shed probably a week or two ago, probably 2 weeks now. And I mean, everyone always says it, but it's definitely true in this case. The camera really doesn't capture her color. She's a really nice looking snake. But they're definitely good beginners. I would definitely recommend ball pythons as a first snake. I mean, they're just more expensive, but they definitely look better. And it's, I guess, if you kind of want to have a more impressive snake in terms of size, then this is definitely a good one. I'm not gonna show the boa. Some people get boa constrictors as their first snake, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, boas can be they can be nice snakes, and most of the time they are. But I definitely know of quite a few aggressive boas. Out of the 2 I have or had, I still have one. The male was very aggressive, and the female's sort of aggressive. And I know one of the boas at the pet shop I work at, is extremely aggressive. And sorry about that. If you could hear that, my sister just got home. She's bumping her music. Um, yeah, I would say corn snakes are a little bit better for somebody who's never held a snake. But if you've held a snake and you're not like scared by it or anything, ball pythons are definitely good, especially if money isn't too big of an issue, um, because they're a lot prettier and you can get some really nice looking ones. So I think that's going to be about it. This is something I've been wanting to make for a long time, but I just really wanted to have both kinds of snakes for a few months before I could really say, because I've had her since she was 80 grams and now she's 300 grams. So, and I also have a couple adults. So, and I had the corn snake now for 8 months, I think. So, that's about it.